Hey guys, welcome to Cactus Jerk. I'm Cactus Jerk and today we will take a video and discuss the differences between Trichocereus bridgesii and Trichocereus pachanoi. Over here you can see a Trichocereus bridgesii. It is very slender. There's a large difference, a large distance between the areoles. This is something that can help you to identify this species. The distance between the areoles is much larger on Trichocereus bridgesii than it is on Trichocereus pachanoi. Then the spines on Trichocereus bridgesii are yellow and rather long. You can see how long these are. The spines on Trichocereus pachanoi do not get this long. They are kept at 2.5–3 centimeters, and the longer they are, the more unlikely it is that it is a Trichocereus pachanoi. Over here you see a classic Trichocereus pachanoi. This is a beautiful plant and it is bright green, and towards the bottom it gets a lot more glaucous. So this one has notches above the areoles. This is something that's pretty typical for Trichocereus pachanoi. Most often these have V notches above the areoles, but straight lines can appear too. That's fairly common. It's not something that can help you to rule out Trichocereus pachanoi. As you can see with this plant, it does not have classic V notches, but you can see the notches above the areoles. That's something that usually gives you like a hint towards Trichocereus pachanoi. This is a Trichocereus bridgesii too. You can see how long the spines are. Very often the top spines have this 2 or 3 spine constellation. You can see them. You can see the 3 spines here, and this is pretty normal. This is how the classic spines on Trichocereus bridgesii look like. Let's have a look at the bottom. There you can see the new spine growth. The new spine growth is yellow with brown or blackish tips. That's usually a good sign that something is a Trichocereus bridgesii too. The plant is slender, a lot more slender than Trichocereus pachanoi. You have this, like the ribs have a shape towards, like it looks a little bit ragged. It's in an angle, in a downwards angle. That's something that you see very often on Trichocereus bridgesii. And I will show you a Trichocereus pachanoi just to compare this trait. This is an Ecuadorian Trichocereus pachanoi, and you can see the rounded shape of the ribs at the top. If you have rounded tips, it's often not a Trichocereus bridgesii. There are exceptions, but rounded tip is often a sign that it's something else. This here is a plant that belongs to Trichocereus bridgesii in a wider sense. This is from Isla del Sol and at Lake Titicaca. It's what is commonly referred to as a Bridgezoid. So it is similar to Trichocereus bridgesii and probably belongs to it. But it's possible that these are split off into a separate species at some point, because there are differences. But you can see the distance between the areoles is very similar, and you also see that the plants are slender, more slender than Trichocereus pachanoi. Let's have a look at the shape of Trichocereus pachanoi. Once again, Trichocereus pachanoi. Here's another plant. You can see how massive it is. and not slender at all. This is another Trichocereus bridgesii. It almost looks like a candle. Very thin. The plant behind it. This is a Trichocereus pachanoi hybrid. I don't know if the lighting is alright. It doesn't look alright so far, but this is a hybrid between Juan Cabamba and Tom Jules Giant. So both very pachanoi plants too. This is another Bridgezoid. This is Trichocereus Rio Miscensis, collected by Friedrich Ritter. This is one from Sacred Succulents. They traveled to the Rio Misca to make this collection. The species was originally collected and described by Friedrich Ritter. These belong to Trichocereus bridgesii in a wider sense too. A lot of the populations that you see at the Rio Misca clearly belong to Trichocereus bridgesii. You can see the same angle at the top. You can see the similar spines, similar 3 spines at the top. So overall this goes very close, this gets very close to Trichocereus bridgesii. Here's another Trichocereus bridgesii. This one is very fat. Same spination or similar spination. This one has 2 spines. But they are golden spines, often with brown tips or black tips. There you can see the blackish tip. This is my other greenhouse, and I want to show you some of the plants in here too, just to help you differentiate between Trichocereus pachanoi and Trichocereus bridgesii. This is a Trichocereus pachanoi. It has a plump shape, once again, rather roundish. The distance between the areoles is very close to Trichocereus bridgesii on this one, but towards the bottom it goes a lot, like it's a lot tighter, like closer together. Sorry, not tight, closer together. So yeah, the distance between the areoles is something that can give you a good indication, can be a good helper. Once again, Trichocereus pachanoi. Spines are very small. At the top you can see that this one has a minor angle, but it's not as profound as it is on Trichocereus bridgesii. I have a plant in my butt. So this is another one. May or may not be PC, not sure. But you can see that this is very different to Trichocereus bridgesii. This is another very beautiful Trichocereus pachanoi. Looks very classic, very typical Trichocereus pachanoi look. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all you need to know. There will always be plants that are in between and that can't fully be identified. This also depends on the fact that there are so many lookalikes that are usually misidentified as one of those 2 species. And I want to show you some of the common, like the lookalikes too. This one here, for example, this is Trichocereus Pukiensis from the Pukiensis area in Peru. It has a higher rib count than normal Trichocereus pachanoi, but apart from this, it's just a form of Trichocereus pachanoi with more ribs. This one here is commonly sold as Trichocereus macrogonus from Europe. So it's the European Trichocereus macrogonus clone. Obviously this has a close similarity. This is very similar to Trichocereus bridgesii. In my opinion it might be one. But yeah, there are many plants sold as Trichocereus macrogonus that look very similar to Trichocereus bridgesii. The problem with Trichocereus macrogonus is that the species isn't really well described, and there are many plants that could fit into the species and which were commonly sold under that name. So you find all kinds of different ones. This is another plant that is sold as Trichocereus macrogonus. You can put this into the species Trichocereus peruvianus, you can put it in Trichocereus macrogonus, or I've seen some people putting it in Trichocereus bridgesii. So the situation on the market is a mess, and this doesn't make it easier for you. Ecuadorian Trichocereus pachanoi. These have the spines are a little bit longer. Spines are a little bit longer and the skin color is a little bit darker, a little bit more gray than other forms of Trichocereus pachanoi. But there's still a clear difference between this one and Trichocereus bridgesii. This is a Trichocereus peruvianus. These are also often sold as Trichocereus macrogonus because it is a very blue form of this species. You can see that there are major differences between this and Trichocereus bridgesii. I'm just showing it to you so you know what's out there. This is a Bridgezoid. Very similar. You can see it has a slender shape. It has spines that are similar to Trichocereus bridgesii, but not quite the same. There's a kid screaming, but yeah, let's just move on. This is an intermediate between Trichocereus pachanoi and Trichocereus peruvianus. It is very, very gray and has V notches, but overall the spines are a little bit closer to Trichocereus peruvianus. I will discuss these in a separate video on differences between Trichocereus pachanoi and Trichocereus peruvianus. Alright guys, I'll take some more videos sometime soon. I'm just experimenting with the new camera and it goes pretty awesome. Like, I'm pretty happy with it. So if you want to support me, you can do it at patreon.com/cactusjerk, and you can get seeds at trichocereus.net. Alright, take care.